Hi everybody, I'm Lady Sylvine, and today I am gathered together with some wonderful people to talk about theories about Veilguard. If you want to introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Cole from the Kingdom.
I'm Don from Crimson Wolf.
And I'm DarthShadie Lavellan.
Welcome! Excellent. So, today we're going to be discussing a few theories. I have a few lined up, I'm sure you guys have a few in mind as well. So I will start with... Yeah, here's an easy one to start with. There's a theory out there that we are going to have a dual protagonist situation. So at the start of the game, we're prompted to make, in character creator, both Rook and Inquisitor. And some people are theorizing that this means that to some degree we're going to be able to play certain quests as the Inquisitor. How do you feel about that?
I am excited. It's something that I've been wanting since I played Mass Effect Andromeda, and that I considered as a possibility when we heard that the Inquisitor was returning, that potentially some cutscenes, maybe some missions played with the Inquisitor. I don't know about missions, but I definitely want there to be cutscenes, because the story between Solus and the Inquisitor, no matter what the relationship is there, is incomplete. So we need that.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, I am on the side of it's probably going to be like Hawk's role in Inquisition, where the Inquisitor is just there with you for a little bit. Maybe you fight beside them, but they're not going to be playable.
Aww.
Yeah, that's kind of, I'm in line with that. I'm pretty sure he won't get to play as him, but he might just be like a temporary companion for a moment.
That would be a bummer, though.
Oh yeah, for sure, but
I think what the Inquisitor is definitely going to play an important role in the story. I think they stated that both Solus and Inquisitor are intertwined with Rook's story in a significant way. But I don't know if we're going to get quests where we play as Inquisitor, because, well, we have a new protagonist. They're going to want to focus on you connecting with them, not this old timer over here.
Yeah, I'm assuming we'll encounter the Inquisitor, like perhaps like towards the later end, if Solus is like the villain the entire time. Then I'm assuming he'll show up, or you'll just encounter him and maybe get a quest from him or anything. So he definitely will pop up here and there.
Well, I mean, if they go the Mass Effect Andromeda route, then it'll, the Inquisitor, like the sibling, was kind of there, and then there'd be like maybe certain visits. Maybe the Inquisitor's a bit of a advisor, but then there would be a mission played as the Inquisitor, some cutscenes with the Inquisitor that are important for the Inquisitor, and they would segue into it in a way that would make sense, and then go back to Rook. But the focus would be Rook, and done well, it wouldn't take the focus away from the main protagonist, but would give closure with the Inquisitor's story at the same time.
I could see that, and I would like it.
We could also get something towards the Lady on the story, where you can play your Inquisitor in like a short, I don't want to say DLC, but like a short mission or anything, like perhaps later on, or where you just get to play him one last time to end this story.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Oh, yeah.
We got to remember that they're missing an arm, though.
They have a not a grappling hook, almost a crossbow attached to it, in like one like the ending.
Yeah,
Oh,
one of
yeah.
the slides.
Yeah.
And with Belara and all her trinkets, I don't see why any of our companions wouldn't be able to help the Inquisitor get some sort of prosthetic. And it would feel more complete if we did get to play a mission as the Inquisitor. And it would make it especially interesting because, it's, okay, so I've got some Inquisitors who romance Solus and everything, but I do have an Inquisitor whose twin brother I will create as Rook, and Asan Lavellan would join Solus no matter what, and Revasan wants to stop Solus no matter what. So I'm hoping that the dynamic between Rook and the Inquisitor can have a lot of depth to it, enough depth that you can be allied or rivaled with the Inquisitor.
Well, to be fair, when we had the Inquisitor, when you introduced them in Inquisition, they are part of a faction of their own, and they come in to investigate what happened. So Rook could just be associated with them through that, and like, oh, the Inquisitor knew them from their previous faction.
Could be.
How would you
Possibly.
guys? Sorry. How would you guys feel if we play as Rook for most of the game, and then it cuts to Inquisitor, who has to choose between saving Solus or saving Rook?
Well, how could you? I mean, I see where you're going, but like, mechanically, how could you not choose Rook? Would the game just end if you don't?
Yeah. The best ending.
Or you choose Solus or the Inquisitor.
Oh, a Hawk situation.
Yeah.
More the Samara situation.
I keep coming back to there's a quote from Wynn that fits of Romance with Solus so well, and that's, one day you'll have to choose between saving the one you love and saving everyone else.
If that's the choice, I don't actually like Soda, so he's dying regardless. Like every time.
Yeah, this actually dovetails quite nicely into one more theory, and then I'll hear if you guys have some theories of your own. But I have heard that we may be faced with a choice from Rook regarding... I've got it written down here. Okay. Yes, okay. We know that the choice to redeem Solus or stop him at all costs that Inke makes at the end of Trespasser. This theory revolves around Rook's involvement in Solus's ultimate fate. The theory is that there will come a point in Veilguard when Rook will have to choose between siding with or helping Solus in some significant way, or choosing their friends/love interest. And this will tie into whether or not Solus can be helped/redeemed, or if he'll be doomed. Thoughts?
I think that is a very high possibility. That Solus can still become, like, he's going to have a bit of an advisory role, but that maybe he can become a companion without us rivaling all our other companions. But I do definitely see a choice like that, whether in regard to even if he changes his mind, whether Rook must choose to tear down the veil in attempt to save Thedas from all the current threats, or potentially destroy Solus to keep the veil up and we'll deal with the threats ourselves. I definitely see that as a strong possibility, even if it's not my ideal possibility.
Yeah, I just, personally, I think it's gonna, if that does turn up, it will definitely be a situation where your approval with the companions will matter significantly. Like in D2, like, some of your companions at the end will just go, yeah, no, if you don't have 100% approval with them. So...
Yeah, and then if you do, and you side with the ones they would go against, they're like, well, I trust you, so I'm still with you. I'd see that.
I just sent that.
I definitely, when it comes to the possibility of choosing everyone or choosing Solus, if that's, I would put my controller down and I would have to go for a walk and think about it for a few hours.
Again, I think it's always the easiest decision for me if it's like choosing Solus or choosing everybody else. I'm choosing everybody else every time. Unfortunately, those decisions, I'm like, that's not a hard decision for me. I'm just going to do it. Even like if I play a villainous role, I'm like, I think it's also a villain role if I choose not to side with Solus.
And it depends also if they give that choice to Rook or they give that choice to the Inquisitor, because some Inquisitors will choose Solus, some won't, and then maybe the Inquisitor joins Solus and becomes an enemy of Rook. But if Rook is given that choice it's a completely different dynamic.
Mhm.
And I haven't played Rook yet. I don't know I'm attached to my Inquisitors. I don't know Rook fully yet because I haven't experienced that character. So it's tough to determine right now, would Rook side with Solus or would Rook choose everyone else? But I know that for my Inquisitors, most of them would side with Solus.
I was about to say, when the Inquisitor's decision also probably based off what you chose at the end of Trespasser, like if they continue using like the Dragon Age Keep that had all your decisions saved, and whatever your Inquisitor said, like I'm gonna save Solus or I'm gonna stop him by whatever means necessary, if it comes to like a cutscene and they just use that decision to influence on what your Inquisitor chooses.
Oh, potentially, because they do mention that they're going to prompt us with key choices in character creation that will carry over into the game.
I'm scared.
Yeah.
I'm saddled with unnecessary feelings.
I am excited to see what happens.
So on the topic of returning character, do you mind if we move to another theory?
Go for it, yeah.
On the topic of possibly returning characters, do we want to talk about the Warden for a second?
Ooh.
The Warden
Honestly,
possibly...
The hero for Eldon?
Yeah.
I didn't even think about the Warden, to be honest with you.
I mean, I'm sure they
Yeah.
would have said something if, like if we're making the Inquisitor right at the beginning, then we would... They haven't said anything about the Warden, though I could see them wanting to keep that, especially under wraps.
They did confirm that Hawk is not in the game, but it doesn't mean that the Warden isn't in the game. And even if they say Hawk is not in the game, if Hawk is at Weishaupt,
Well, I think Hawk returned in the Trespasser epilogue. Hawk returned to Kirkwall.
Oh, right, that's true. Forgot about that.
I
Well then,
I remember a really interesting tweet that I saw, and I'm trying to find it. I'll put it in the video if I can't right now, but I think it may have been Trick Weeks that said, someone asked, will the Warden be returning? Or something along those lines, and they said, I can't say anything about that right now, or something along those lines.
Mm-hmm.
that means yes.
I want to find it, because I need to know what exactly was said.
The Warden
because-
brings up like a can of worms, because then you have the Warden, Morrigan, the potential child with them. Like, I'm like, that's a whole nother thing that you have to, if they include the Warden and everything. It's like, because I'm gonna want answers to what's happened after Trespasser and Inquisition.
We should talk about Ferelden royalty in a second. But without the Warden, the Trespasser epilogue, which epilogues are notorious for being retconned, but
Yes.
a Warden that romanced Liliana does return in the Trespasser epilogue if she is divine.
And a Warden who romanced Alistar on the war table sends a note because she's hunting for a cure for the taint.
Yeah, no, I think that happens with Liliana too, at least.
I think it also happens on Morrigan. I think that's a consistent one, because I think regardless of whichever romance is, I think they still return. They go towards Weishaupt looking for a cure.
They go to the west to lands that have never known the Blight. And they drop that as if it's nothing. But, like, there are lands that have never known the Blight?
Yeah. And then imagine the Warden comes back, it's like, I have the cure, here, drink up, And then Warden's like, what the hell happened here? Solus how long do you have?
Oh, you really just want to explore the lands outside of Thetis, because you have that one, the lands that Kanara came from.
I do, yeah. They're out west. There's the homeland of the Voshai. This is very obscure lore.
And there's also from those across the sea, the
right.
Executors.
Yep, who are potentially one and the same with the Kossith. Who knows? Oh my gosh, there's so much. But, yeah, the Warden left Thetis in search of a cure and has come back. I guess they didn't find a cure, but there's a lot of possible things that could go into that, and I don't think we have the time to talk about
the
those.
cure. But then in not the Stolen Throne, in The Calling, what's her name? Fiona is cured.
Because Alistair's dad is great at activities.
He sees an elf and he just has to sleep with her.
Yeah.
Even if she is quite obviously...
That's everybody in Dragon Age.
Well, even if she's like the most obvious spy in existence, he has to fall in love with her.
Yeah.
Oh my god. So, speaking of Alistar, Ferelden royalty. So Ferelden royalty is confirmed to be in the game, so that's interesting.
Because the IMDb says Queen Honora.
Right. So I imagine Alistar would probably be there too. Yeah. So I'm wondering if Alistar did the dark ritual, do you think he'd try to legitimize Kieran? Because
I would assume so.
I think so.
If it's been 20 years since the Blight, his calling's coming up.
Yeah.
I think it's a twofold thing. I would think he would try to legitimize Kieran because I think that's just how Alistar would be. I don't think he would abandon, especially his kid. I don't think he has a personality for it. But at the same time, if it's Kieran and if it's Morgan, I don't know how much Morgan will want Kieran on a throne, because especially how much he's changed over the course of time.
Oh yeah, no, Alistar wouldn't force it on him. But do you think he would reach out to Kieran and Morgan and say, do you want this?
I think so, but we also have to consider all the other branches. So Kieran would be the heir to the throne if Alistar is his father, but if Loghain is his father, and if the Warden is his father, what does that present for Kieran? And would world states that where Kieran was not conceived, would a Kieran potentially arise, and what role would this Kieran have,
In Dark Ritual, man.
I would think it would be easier for the devs to say, to kind of go with the route of, like, let's say if Kieran was Alistar's kid, that he couldn't find him because, again, can't really find Morgan. She's always just sneaking off somewhere. Yeah. And even though he would probably extend that out of branch or try to, it wouldn't be far the possibility that he can just have another kid at this point, and that's the royalty they're talking about. So even though they probably extend it, I don't think they'll try to convolute their timeline or anything by trying to force in Kieran into Alistar's bloodline, because again, they'll throw a lot of things off or make it confusing how to tie it in.
Yeah, that's just disappointing, I want to see like more of a consequence or benefit for our decisions. It's interesting to think that Kieran is now in his 20s by the time of Veilguard.
Yeah.
I would hope if Kieran plays in sometime, it'll be sometime later, he becomes either a companion. Well, no, he can't be a companion again because he doesn't exist. But it's hard to tie Kieran into anything if he doesn't exist or depending on his parentage, because he's an optional happenstance, which is very weird. How do you tie him in if he doesn't exist into like another like main quest line or main story?
Yeah, I imagine it would just be like a cameo.
Here's an idea. So, okay, if there was no dark ritual, Morgan in Inquisition, Kieran does not exist. But if Morgan, while she's off somewhere, has a child with someone, and Kieran exists, and this Kieran also houses another old god through some way.
That's just going to trivialize the whole thing, though.
Yeah, but then it would be a way to bring that character back on the concept of, the spirits living, the old god spirits living inside people. That kind of brings us to the theory that I want to talk about, which was in its okay, so the very second video I ever made, in its original form, this theory was that the old gods are the elven gods. Through the years and through feedback and other theories, there's the possibility that the old gods are the forgotten ones, that they were maybe the high keepers of the Evanuris. Maybe they are the dragons of the Evanuris, like Corypheus's dragons, so that they don't die, so kill the old gods to kill the Evanuris. But then Solus didn't like the Wardens going after the old gods, so there must be a purpose to the souls of the old gods for Solus, or for the versus for the Evanuris, because maybe he wants to collect them. So, but there's so many hints with the seven old gods, 7 magisters, 7 forgotten ones, 7 Evanuris locked away, 7 gates of the Golden City.
2 gods left.
And and so it's inevitable to me. It's obvious that there's some sort of link between the old gods and elves. What is that link?
My theory has been that the before the Evanuris rose to power, they fought against the old gods and buried them. The Evanuris were the ones that buried them. Now, how that relates to the 7 gates of the Golden City, I don't know, but I could see, if all the gates were broken, then the Black City would be opened for everybody, and that would be a bad thing. So I could see Solus not liking killing them for that reason.
I always attributed the 7 the 7 dragon and the 7 Evanuris as kind of like the thing where I took it from a thought where I think her soul was in a dragon, and I think the Evanuris had something similar to where they probably put part of their soul into each of those dragons, and they're connected in that way. And as far as your 7 gates for the Black City, I think each of the 7 gates are just the 7 things locking away the archdemons. So I'm assuming Solus doesn't want you to kill archdemons because it kills part of the soul for each of the Evanuris. He locks them away. He doesn't want to kill them, so they're still his companions, his friends, and everything. So that's how I kind of always interpreted that from my end.
I don't really have much of an opinion of it yet, but regardless of whether or not they are connected regardless of whether or not the old gods and the Evanuris are connected, I'm just curious how the return of 2 of the Evanuris is going to affect blights in general. Will it conflict with the old gods, or will they work together? Will it awaken them? Are they the old gods? If the Darkspawn were to choose who to follow, thinking that a blight is happening, because the Evanuris are blighted, would the Darkspawn think that's a blight and start following them? And would that awaken the old gods, or are the old gods just going to be shoved off into the corner? I don't know.
Oh, yeah. And then with Gilanane's monsters, it only transforms tainted beings. So Darkspawn, Grey Wardens, potentially the Blight Tainted Titan, and so Archdemons included.
So this is why I still think the Evanuris and the Archdemons are connected, because again, in the Veilguard trailer we see 2 Evanuris come back. I'm assuming if they come back and it is blight related, they just awaken the Archdemons when they come out, and they just, for instance, just ride on top of them, kind of like Corypheus does.
Oh my god.
And it does just connect it and make it a lot simpler to where 2 Evanuris, 2 last Archdemons, to where you can wrap both of these stories up at the same time, to where the dragons are just a part of them, and you still get your last 2 blights. So it just makes a nice little bow to wrap around.
Yeah. The connection could be far simpler. Yeah, like that.
Yeah. I could see that. Yeah, personally, I just prefer my theory, but I mean, I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, me too. And my other theory, it's so the city in the Fade where the Evanirs were locked away. If it's the Golden City, well, it's blighted. But if the Evanirs, the risen gods, are in their demon form, so are they blighted or just in demon form? And so Solus, now in his own prison, kind of ironic there, is he going to become just his Dreadwolf demon form, or is he going to become blighted, and is there a way to save him from that?
God, now I want to see Solus in his demon wolf form
Yes.
versus Gillenon in her giant sea serpent form.
Oh.
I want to see that.
Because I think, so you found me at last. I suspect you have questions. I think he leads us to the physical prison to find him. And then we unroll our kilometer-long list of questions.
I'm expecting have any of you seen God of War Ragnarok?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm expecting the fight at Asgard kind of scene where you've just got giant wolves running everywhere, giant serpents, just chaos everywhere. I'm expecting that level of monster battles, generally.
It would literally be a battle of gods because you have so as another 12 Evanirs now.
Mhm.
So
Clash of the Titans.
Oh,
yeah, it's there. I think it's just gonna be an all-out brawl at that point. So
And
And
all
won't
their
be
pawns,
surprised.
and we are the rook.
I think the only theory I have is, and I've been harping on this for years at this point, is that the Evanirs have a bunch of mystery behind them, and I want more of the Forgotten Ones. I'm wondering if the Forgotten Ones were sealed away as well, if they're also released with the last two Evanirs, and if they do appear, how do they play into the overall story? Because there's not a lot of lore or history about them, and I want to know exactly how they tie into the Evanirs. Were they former companions? Were they former enemies? Were they former slaves that's released?
I think maybe they rose up against the Evanirs, and the Evanirs invented that they were, malevolent.
Like propaganda.
Beings. Yeah, propaganda. Sadly, I get the impression that BioWare has forgotten about the Forgotten Ones.
I hope, because that was one of my biggest theories, that the Forgotten Ones were former slaves that just rose up against them. That was my biggest theory, and I still like that theory to this day. But
I like that. I like that because Solus is considered both Forgotten One and Evanirs. And what did the Forgotten Ones do for Solus to also lock them up? Like what's going on there? If they were rising up against them, maybe they started to mimic that greed for power.
See,
that's what I assume. I assume they want the same thing the Evanirs had.
Yeah.
In Gilderon's claim in the Frostback Basin, in just a few sentences, they gave me personally so much. Because Gilderon is saying they are not gods. You gain title by deed, not by your own nature. And he says, I refuse those who would exert will upon me. They will bicker among themselves. I will be forgotten and claim power of my own until I strike in mastery. I freaking love that so much.
That right there, that's what made me think they were slaves. Because that all hints to you were a slave into the Evanirs. I'm like, that line alone was made me think they were slaves that tried to do an uprising.
Yeah.
And Evanirs put them down.
Yeah, I feel like maybe not that they put him down, but he deliberately was forgotten. He wanted to be forgotten and then surprise attack.
Oh, so BioWare is just pretending to have forgotten about them, and then so we've got Solus to deal with, and there's all this going on with the Qunari, all the different threats, and then all of a sudden they come back. And that's how the game ends.
I could see that. Them striking at our weakest.
Ends. And to be continued in Dragon Age 5.
And 10,
the Forgotten Ones. the return of the Forgotten Ones. You will remember us now.
I could see that, but I please no more elven stuff. Can we just?
I'm entirely to agree. Like, as much as I love the Evernords, this has been a plot line for years now.
Yeah.
It is kind of like
I've been saying elves are like potatoes.
Okay,
I love potatoes. Okay, I can have them with every meal. I don't want them with every single meal all the time.
What
Why?
if the Forgotten Ones are the executors?
Huh.
Could be.
And they're just across the sea? And what if they are not elves?
Also possible.
What if they are Kunari? What if this? What if that?
Well, that could be. I'm trying to think. Like, lore-wise, we didn't see the Kunari until because he came in. What, during the second flight when he first got
It was actually after the 4th.
Was that the 4th? Okay. But granted, they could have came here before because they didn't always look like they do now either.
Right.
So it's possible. It's hard. Like then the Kunari history is also a whole different.
Mm-hmm.
Just give me something on the Forgotten Ones because God, that's the whole
yeah
absolutely.
section. You just.
So is that where we're wrapping up the theories?
Unless anybody else has anything else. That's all we have on theories. This video is one part of a 4-part series of videos, I guess, in one recording. The links to the other parts from these wonderful people right here are in the description below. Go check out those parts, they'll be linked there. And yep, on to the next part.